Hi, it's Katrina! From long-forgotten artwork of a female pharaoh to a cursed sarcophagus, here are 8 recent, surprising, and mysterious ancient Egyptian discoveries. Number 9. Serapeum of Saqqara. 12 miles south of the Great Pyramid of Giza in the abandoned ancient city of Memphis, 24 coffin-shaped boxes made of solid Aswan granite are tucked into a hillside cave system. They weigh up to 100 tons each and were engineered with such precision that it is impressive even under modern standards. Some experts are so baffled by the skillfulness of the stone cutting, which is accurate to a few microns, they've concluded that the boxes couldn't possibly have been constructed by the ancient Egyptians. Instead, they believe that the boxes were crafted and left on Earth by extraterrestrials and commandeered by the Egyptian pharaohs. Why the extraterrestrials would leave us with precise boxes but not electricity or internet is another mystery. There are some poor quality markings on the boxes that could be authentic hieroglyphics, but the general consensus is that it's ancient graffiti. The purpose of the boxes is unknown, but they were clearly intended for an important use, having been carefully designed and built to remain airtight for centuries. They're known as the Serapeum of Saqqara, and the burial site they're located on is thought to have been built around 3,300 years ago by Ramses II. The temple was discovered in 1850 by French Egyptologist and archaeologist Auguste Mariette. However, recent research may have finally uncovered the answers to some of its mysteries, namely the large granite boxes. It's possible that the boxes were used as sarcophagi for Apis bulls. One of Ramses II's sons, Kamwaset, ordered one of the tunnels at the site to contain side chambers with granite sarcophagi to hold the mummified remains of bulls. Number 8. The Screaming Mummies. One day in 1886, the then head of the Egyptian Antiquities Service, Gaston Maspero, was going about business as usual when he came across a distinctively plain burial box. There was no information on the box about who was inside, unlike those that held royals, and that Maspero was used to working with. The body was covered in sheepskin, which is also strange since the ancient Egyptians considered sheepskin to be unclean. He uncovered the corpse and discovered that its hands and feet were bound. When he looked at the body's face, he noticed that it was plastered with an open-mouthed, terrified expression. The body, labeled by experts as Unknown Man E, was originally believed to have been tortured to death by poisoning, being buried alive, or some other gruesome method. Sometimes even the best and brightest are wrong, however. Throughout the following years, experts realized that the mouth of a decaying body will fall open naturally over time if the jaw isn't strapped shut, resulting in a screaming expression. Since the discovery of Unknown Man E, various screaming mummies have been found throughout the world. While it may look scary, it just means that the embalmer missed a step in the mummification process. Number 7. Neolithic Village. In 2018, archaeologists uncovered a Neolithic village in Tel El Samara, about 87 miles north of Cairo. The village predates the pharaohs by at least 2,000 years, and the pyramids at Giza by around 2,500 years. It is thought to have originated as early as 5000 BC. Frederick Gio, chief archaeologist of the joint French-Egyptian excavation team that made the discovery, reported that among the excavated artifacts and ruins were pottery, stone tools, and silos containing organic matter such as plant residues and animal bones. It's one of the oldest villages ever discovered in the Nile Delta, and the findings indicate that it was once a stable community. Researchers still have a lot to learn about the people who inhabited the Nile Delta prior to the First Pharaonic Dynasty, which began when King Menes united Upper and Lower Egypt. Sites like this may help lead them to answers. Based on the items uncovered from the site, they believe that the villagers may have been heavily reliant on rain for farming. Further investigation may offer insight into the development of irrigation-based farming techniques in the region, which were practiced for thousands of years. Number 6. The Cursed Sarcophagus. In July 2018, archaeologists opened a black granite sarcophagus that had recently been discovered in the city of Alexandria. Inside were 3 skeletons and some gold sheets, as well as what they described as a disgusting red liquid. The tomb the sarcophagus was excavated from dates back to sometime between 305 BC and 30 BC, during the Ptolemaic period. preliminary studies determined that the skeletons consist of a woman who was between 5'3" and 5'5" and around 20 to 25 years old at the time of her death, a 35 to 39-year-old man who stood at roughly the same height as the woman, and a man between the ages of 40 and 44 years old who was at least 5 feet 10 inches tall and maybe up to 6 feet tall. One of the skulls had a hole in it, indicating that the person had been subjected to a medical procedure called trepanation, which involved drilling holes in the skull to relieve pressure on the brain. According to Zainab Hashish, the director of the Department of Skeleton Remains Studies at the Ministry of Antiquities, this surgery is the oldest surgical intervention ever known since prehistory, but was rare in Egypt. The skeletons may have belonged to soldiers, according to an initial analysis. It was determined that the disgusting red liquid was a combination of sewage water and decomposing remains of the skeleton's wrappings. After the mysterious sarcophagus was discovered, rumors began swirling that opening it might unleash a curse. Besides spreading all kinds of fear, there was also an online petition signed by 30,000 people who wanted to drink the red liquid, thinking that it would infuse them with the mummy's powers. Internet craziness aside, further tests and studies are being done to try and determine who the occupants of the gooey sarcophagus were. Number 5. Rare artwork of Hatshepsut. James Rogers of Fox News reported in March 2018 that a rare piece of ancient artwork depicting the female pharaoh Hatshepsut had surfaced in the UK. Experts were very surprised. The discovery came thanks to students from Swansea University in Wales who chose the object for a handling session. Swansea University Egyptology lecturer Dr. Ken Griffin noticed something odd while the students were analyzing the artwork, which consists of 2 limestone fragments that have been glued together. He recognized similarities between the iconography and hieroglyphics of the artifact and that of artwork at the Temple of Hatshepsut at Deir el-Bahri in Luxor, Egypt. On the front of the artifact, there's a head with a missing face, as well as a fan. The figure's forehead contains a depiction of a uraeus, or cobra, and there are hieroglyphics above the head. Hatshepsut was one of just a handful of female pharaohs and reigned from 1478 to 1458 BC. The artwork examined by the students fell into the hands of the university in 1971 as part of a collection that had belonged to the pharmaceutical magnate Sir Henry Wellcome. Based on restorative work that had been done to the artifact, it likely passed through the hands of a previous owner, such as an antiquities dealer or auctioneer, before becoming the property of Sir Wellcome. Number 4. The Temple of Ramses II. In 2017, an Egyptian-Czech collaboration of archaeologists discovered the remains of a temple belonging to Ramses II in the village of Abu Sir, which is located southwest of Cairo and near the famous step pyramid of Saqqara. In a statement issued after the discovery, Miroslav Barta, the head of the Czech team, mentioned that the temple is the only known evidence of Ramses II having a presence in the greater Cairo area of Badrashan in Giza. He also stated that the discovery reflects the worship of the sun god Ra, which began over 4,500 years ago during the 5th dynasty. Ramses II reigned during the 13th century BC and was a pharaoh of the 19th dynasty of Egypt. The temple is 105 by 167 feet and contains mud brick foundations for a monumental gateway or pylon. Excavators also found remnants of a large forecourt that led to a hall of pillars, some parts of which were painted blue. There is a large staircase or ramp at the end of the forecourt, which leads to a sanctuary with 3 parallel chambers at its rear. The building's remains were covered with stone relief fragments. Number 3. The tomb of King Tut's wife. During the summer of 2017, archaeologists announced the possible discovery of the tomb of King Tut's wife in the famed Valley of the Kings. It's located near the tomb of the pharaoh I, according to renowned archaeologist Zahi Hawass, who's the former head of Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities. After Tutankhamun's death during the 14th century BC, his half-sister and wife, Ankhesenamun, married the pharaoh I. Her tomb would likely be located near his, which is why archaeologists believe they've found her final resting place. The tomb's ruins were identified by the presence of 4 foundation deposits, which are holes filled with things such as food remains and pottery vessels. King Tut is one of the most well-known ancient Egyptian figures, yet his life and death remain a topic of fascination for historians. Some people even believe that the boy king's tomb contains secret chambers and have looked for these hidden rooms. It's no wonder then that the experts are also striving to uncover information about King Tut's loved ones as a way to learn more about him and ancient Egypt in general. In a July 2017 email to Live Science, Hawass cautioned that archaeologists are unsure whether they've uncovered an ancient tomb, let alone who it belongs to. However, further excavations and analysis are underway to find the wife of King Tut. Number 2. A 2,000-year-old cemetery. In early 2018, researchers discovered an ancient burial ground in Minya, which is south of Cairo. The cemetery is over 2,000 years old and contains at least 40 mummies. The team also found jewelry, pottery, and a gold mask. Researchers expect the site to take up to 5 years to excavate. According to Khaled El-Enani, Egypt's antiquities minister, the artifacts date as far back as 300 BC, and there's more where that came from. In his words, this is only the beginning of a new discovery. So far, 8 tombs have been found, and excavators expect many more to be unearthed. Mustafa Waziri, who's leading the archaeological mission, pointed out that many of the tombs and artifacts belong to the priests of the ancient Egyptian god Thoth. At least 4 mummies were found, accompanied by jars that contain the inner organs of the deceased, as well as the person's name and title in hieroglyphics. Pretty helpful, right? Perhaps the most intriguing discovery was a necklace containing a message from the afterlife, which translated to Happy New Year. Number 1. A silver masked mummy. On July 14th of last year, a German-Egyptian team of archaeologists announced the discovery of various ancient Egyptian artifacts, including a gilded silver mask, a mummification workshop, mummies, and sarcophagi in Saqqara. Some of the finds, including the silver mask, date back at least 2,500 years, or sometime between 664 and 404 BC. The mask's eyes contain calcite, obsidian, and a black gemstone. Ramadan Badri Hussein, head of the team, referred to the discovery of the mask as a sensation. Due to the widespread looting of most tombs of ancient Egyptian dignitaries throughout history, very few precious metal masks have been recovered. The wearer of the mask was a mummy resting inside of a damaged wooden coffin, which contained a depiction of the goddess Mut on the outside. Researchers have gathered that the coffin's inhabitant was a priest who served Mut. Inside the tomb complex, which contains several underground burial shafts, archaeologists also found what they believe are the remains of a mummification workshop. The site contained bowls and measuring cups labeled with the names of oils and other substances that were used for mummification. There were also 2 large basins that were possibly used for drying mummies and preparing bandages to wrap them with. Research is ongoing, courtesy of funding by the German Research Foundation. Thanks for watching! Would you like to learn more about recent discoveries of ancient Egyptian artifacts? Let me know in the comments below. Remember to subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Bye!